Hi friends, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and a big warm hello to my subscribers. I love you guys. Today's video is all about craft sticks and all the neat things you can make with them, and as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. I thought it would be fun to make a rustic pine tree, but then I had a better idea, and so I just took a craft stick, I laid it horizontally, and I'm gluing one on either side, a total of two, and I'm going to go as far up as I can. It kind of naturally starts to gravitate inwards, so you can only go so high before you have to stop. Well, with this project anyway, I have to leave a certain amount of room at the top, and I'm just layering them on top of each other on purpose to kind of create like little layers or folds there, or feathers, or however you want to think of that, but you can see what I'm doing right there, and I'm just going to go as far as I can. Next, I'm going to go ahead and measure a craft stick across the top, but see how I'm drawing it at an angle a little bit? I didn't want to cut this totally square. I'm kind of rounding out the edges the best I can. There's just a little subtle curve there, see? And I'm just going to glue that on the top, and I also put a stick at the bottom there to create like a little square opening. You can see it right there. So you just measure and glue a stick behind that as well. And now I'm going to go ahead and take more craft sticks and glue them all the way across, and then go up on each one of those just like I did with the side ones and create those little faux ruffles. For those of you that need to see this a little slower, there is an option on YouTube to change the playback speed on any video. It's like a little flower looking white icon on the bottom right hand corner of your video, and you just click on it and that option will come up, playback speed, and you can adjust it however you need it to be. So next I'm taking the Dollar Tree mop, and I showed you how easy those are just to pull out. Thank you to the subscriber who gave me that tip. I don't remember your name, but someone said, oh, you can just pull those out now. You don't need to crack off the black thing, and boy, is that a great tip. So you just gently pull them out, and then they come apart in individual little strands, and I'm just going about gluing them on now in different sections because we're creating faux hair here. For those of you that haven't guessed, I am making an angel. So I'm going to go ahead and work with that arch that I created on the craft sticks and kind of glue the hair upwards. You can see it right there, how I kind of made it go up softly in more of a U shape at the top of her head. See, I'm patting it down, so I put a little bit of glue on top there just so all those little strands stay in that shape of more like a head, because I didn't want her to have like a square top head. And that's it. That's what we have so far for hair. I think that's so cute. So now we're going to go about making some arms and some wings for her and a halo. So for the halo, I just use some of the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I take my little flame, float it over there to get rid of all the stray little strands and make it nice and clean, and I just glue that on the back. It doesn't go all the way around, it just goes halfway around, but I glue that on the back like this. And then using a little bit more hot glue and a cut craft stick, you can see it right there, I'm just securing the back of the halo like that. And then comes her sleeves, and I decide to glue that little craft stick behind her like that, and then put two craft sticks at the top at an angle, which I go about hiding with her hair. You can see I'm gluing over it right there. I'm going to glue it on both sides so that you can't see that, and secure her hair down that way. I just want to take a moment to thank Wild Grain for sponsoring today's video, but Wild Grain is seriously awesome, you guys. It is the first Bake from Frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. Wild Grain partners with small bakers and pasta makers across the country to keep the tradition of artisanal and nutritional food alive. So see how it's all like normal ingredients that you totally recognize that's in your kitchen? I don't know how they did it. Hats off to the bakers, because I'm a pretty avid baker and I have never been able to get stuff to taste this good. It tastes like they're using like all the cheats you know, the stuff you can't pronounce when you read on the back of the package, and they're not. It's just all wholesome, normal ingredients. And you can build your own box, so you'll never run out or run the risk of getting bored. Wild Grain is constantly adding new seasonal and limited time special items to try when you build your next box. Also, 1 membership equals 4 meals donated. So a really neat thing they do, for every new member, Wild Grain donates 4 meals to the Greater Boston Food Bank. And there's a new 100% plant-based box. Here I am eating apples on top of sourdough. I really do that. I love that combination, Gala apples. So speaking of plant-based, this box features the same amazing Wild Grain taste, but all the products are 100% plant-based, including hard-to-find pastas and croissants. I encourage you to check out Wild Grain and be sure to click on my link in the description box and use my code HOTHumblePie to get $30 off your first box. Plus, you'll get free croissants in every box. Yep, you heard that right. That is literally, their croissants are like out of this world good, and you will get free croissants in every box. And again, thank you, Wild Grain, for sponsoring today's video. I'm also going to give her a little haircut so it's a bit more even, and then come her wings. I was also thinking you could fill in her sleeves if you wanted. That might look kind of cute. I just left it to kind of match the face, but you could do it either way. Either way would be cute. I'm just gluing a bunch of craft sticks together in a fan shape, and I'm gluing 2 sets of them because those are going to be her wings. Lastly, you're just going to take a whole bunch of hot glue. Now, I am using a wood glue by Surebonder. This is a Surebonder glue gun. It's a really small glue gun with small glue sticks. I have an excellent wood glue, hot wood glue, also for large glue guns in my description. I'll leave both of them in my description box. And that's it. She's all done. She's a beautiful, primitive, rustic angel. I'll be using these garden stakes that I found at Dollar General. I love these. They carry them every year and they're always just $1. I hope they don't raise the price, but they're so handy for crafts. I'm just using a leftover piece here to get a straight cut because that way I can pinch it alongside vertical and flush with the rest of it, and it helps me get a straighter cut. This is just a piece that's left over from the Vinyl Hacks video in case you missed it. That one was great last summer. But now here's the Dollar Tree sign, and this was so weird. When I went to remove that piece on the front, I just assumed it's cardboard or MDF board. It always is, you guys, right? It was like a weird rubbery paper. I've never had this experience with a Dollar Tree sign before, so I just thought I'd share this part with you. It was a weird, thick, rubbery, it wasn't even paper. I don't know what it was. And then underneath it also had the word blessed. So I thought that was weird. Anyway, these boards usually come warped, and you can fix most of them just by gently bending them in the opposite direction for a while until they finally straighten out. And here's my tool, you guys. I will leave the link down below in the description box, but I got it on Amazon. And even though the blade isn't really deep, I just flipped the stick around and cut the rest of it, and this saved so much time. So even though this little table saw is pretty mighty, you still have to be careful you don't cut your fingers. So I'm going to let you hear the sound here so you can see exactly how I was so careful and so slow when I was cutting my craft sticks or any kind of wood. I definitely shut the blade off before I put my fingers anywhere near it, and look at the clean cut you get. That's another thing. When I cut my craft sticks with this, none of them split or frayed at the end. I also have really good luck with those metal shears that you can see in the upper right-hand corner with the yellow handles. You just need something super, super sharp. I have very, very sharp crafting scissors, and they still kind of splinter sometimes. But I found I could cut comfortably 3 craft sticks on top of each other with that little machine. And like I said, it saves so much time. You know, it's awesome. I love it. So now I'm just going to take and start gluing these sticks on at an angle like this, kind of like we're making a Christmas tree, I guess. You're just going to go down all the way on the board like this. And even though it looks easy, you do have to be careful that you get everything to fit nice and snug and nothing is warped. That was a little tricky, and what I did run into is I used too much hot glue. So this hot glue that I'm using is Surebonder. It's supposed to glue down wood and glass, and so that's why I'm using hot glue. But see how I'm having to take this craft knife? This is a Dollar Tree craft knife, by the way, in case you're curious. And I'm having to cut some of the hot glue off of the surface because it oozed out underneath because I used too much. And if you do that and it doesn't lay, it won't lay flat, and then you'll just have a look that doesn't look very finished and professional. So you do have to be careful to be conservative with how much hot glue you use. You can also use wood glue or some other kind of strong glue if you want a wet glue. That would be, if you have time. I usually, because I'm filming, I usually move pretty quick, but look at this. This was the most unexpected, best part of this whole DIY is when it came to cut the edge of the craft sticks, like so many of us do after we cover something. This little machine was just so clean and so fast. I love it. So to take care of the ends at the top there, I just measured individual little craft sticks and used a pencil as needed to finish off the ends. I'm showing you here what I did so you know. Right there's like a little end piece. I'm going to trace it with a pencil, and then I'm going to cover it with some masking tape to prevent, or at least try to prevent, the fraying. That usually works, and you pinch it really hard with your finger, and that usually stops it, from the counter pressure when you're cutting, and you nibble with it with your scissors really gently, like I did, so that you don't, fray it. Or I don't know if fraying is the right word, but it splinters and kind of fragments, so you have to be careful of that. So that's what it looks like when we're all done. And now we're going to use some of the Gorilla wood glue. It's just a great glue to use with raw wood. I'm just rotating the wood glue and the hot glue now to have a permanent hold. So when I glued these little stakes down, I glued them hanging over the edge on purpose because I wanted to cover most of the MDF board. I didn't mind if some of it showed on the end, but I just kind of wanted to get a more professional, clean look. So I'm going to tuck this extra large skewer stick that I found at the Dollar Tree underneath each of the edge. And if you don't have the stakes for the borders, you could just get creative and use whatever you want. You could even use more craft sticks. You could use any kind of cord, like those cable cords that are round. Those make kind of really interesting borders. I've seen people use tumbling tower blocks. You could stack up craft sticks. That would be a neat look, and just have them, like stack them up about, well, how many would I do? I'd probably do about 6 of them, and then just put them side by side with flat edges, flush, and fill it in with a little bit of spackling, all kinds of things. You just have to have fun and use your imagination. So I'm just staining this with some watered down antique wax. Any brand of antique wax will work, and we're all done. And I think this came up gorgeous. Let me know what you think. So I'm taking 2 craft sticks and I'm gluing them together, and I'm making a set of 4 of these. So there's 4 of 2, a set of 2 and 4 of those all together. And then I'm going to start off by gluing it in a long rectangle shape like this. So you take 2 of them, and then you're going to attach them with 1 craft stick on the top and on the bottom. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take another craft stick and glue it in the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and space all of my craft sticks out and position them before I commit and glue them down. And I'm going to do that on the top half of this, and then I'm going to turn it around like that and do it on the bottom half. Then I flip it over, and I don't really want that craft stick on the front to show, so I decide to do this crisscross formation to hide the top there so that you can't see where I joined the 2, the sides. There were 2 craft sticks joined together. You can't see where they're joined together with the crisscross shape there. And then using some towering blocks from Dollar Tree, I'm going to go ahead and glue 1 at the top, 1 in the middle, and 1 at the bottom. If you haven't guessed, we're going to go ahead and make like a little lamp for outside. I also made 5 of these for her luau so that they could be on each table, but they're super cute for patio decor, front porch, even inside. They came out so cute. You don't have to have the towering blocks. You could just use craft sticks if you wanted to, and then glue 2 of them in a V shape on either end, and then in the seam reinforce it with hot glue, and that would also hold this together. But I just used the towering blocks because I had them available, and I need to use them up. So now I'm going to go ahead and take some more of that raffia. I'm going to cut it in 3 strips, tape it to my little table, and then braid it. So this is what I decide to do to handle the side seams on this little lamp. You don't have to do this. It's just I'm trying to keep it with the island theme. like a Tahitian type theme. But you could use nautical rope, you could use the nautical rope comes in different colors. You could just leave it if you want, or you could even fill it in with a little bit of spackling. It's totally up to you how you want to handle the edges there. And of course, you don't have to do anything. I'm just gluing this down as neatly as I can, and that's pretty much it. This makes a super fun family project and a great summer craft. I think it came up so cute. For this next one, you're going to be using the Dollar Tree larger craft sticks, and I made a V at the top, so now I'm using that as a template so I can get the identical shape, because you do need them to match. So that's how you go about making sure they match. Just lay it on top and glue the second one on top, and then I'm going to take them apart and I'm going to glue 2 of the larger craft sticks on either side of those. Once I'm done with that, just like I did with the star that I made, I'm just going to go ahead and start gluing a bunch of craft sticks on top of each other. I think I made a total of 14 rows, maybe 15, no more than 15. And again, this takes a little bit of time, but it's totally worth it. Listen to some good music, turn on your favorite TV show or movie, and totally relax and do this. It's very relaxing to do. Once that's all done, you're going to have like these little slots in between the sticks, and so I measured it so that they're very tight fitting too, which is great. So you take the smaller little craft sticks from the Dollar Tree and you measure it so that it's not going to protrude out on either side, and you cram it in the last row in the back and then one in the front row. And then you add a little drop of hot glue just to secure them. And while it was still liquidy and hot, I was able to move them around a little bit to make sure they're level, because we're going to be making this little shelf level. And I'm using the larger craft sticks now to, I put them down first to see how many I needed to cut, measured, and I'm cutting now what's going to be, I guess, the bottom of the little shelf. So I'm just you'll see, I'm gonna cut these little craft sticks out, and there you go, right there. I'm just gonna use a little tiny bit of hot glue on each of the ledges there and glue those craft sticks down side by side. And that's what it looks like when you're all done. So just to reinforce that, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue underneath in the area that I'm showing you. I'm so glad there's video, you guys. This would be so hard to explain, but it's a good idea to reinforce whenever you can, even though I'm using hot wood glue. This is obviously going to be like a little wall shelf, so there is going to be something on top of it, so I want to get that extra reinforcement. And I end up thinking the bottom half of this is just a little too empty. I guess there's too much empty space, so I'm putting a little decorative touch at the bottom there by adding some small craft sticks and just making like a little row of stripes, I guess. This ends up being so cute. My son actually put it in his kitchen with his little panda bear salt shaker on it, which I thought was so cute. But it's perfect for a bathroom if you have a coastal theme. Again, farmhouse boho. This is a perfect cute little like sconce shelf. So here's some exciting news I thought I'd share with you guys. I got that Valentine's Day sign last year at the Dollar Tree, and this year when I got the Easter sign, I did notice, look how much thicker. It's thicker, it's heavier, and you're going to see in a minute, it is actually bigger, the circumference. It's larger. So here's the Easter eggs. I am going to cut those off and save those because of course you never know when you're going to need those for another craft. And I am going to go ahead and remove the beaded top as well, although I will be keeping that as the hanger because I thought it was really nice. So now I'm just going to start gluing craft sticks on, and I am going to be cutting them along the edge. This is pretty self-explanatory. It does take some time, I'm not going to lie. These are smaller craft sticks. It's like the larger ones that you can get at the Dollar Tree, but you know, to cover the whole sign, because it was rather large, it did take some time and measurement, and not all the sticks are perfect. Some of them were smaller, some of them were warped, so I had to, you know, keep cutting, keep trying to get everything to fit perfectly, because you really want them to be really tight in there. And we're just going to do that whole thing on the whole sign. So when I ran into a problem where the edge, see how right there where the craft sticks meet, sometimes the edges weren't flush, because even though visually it looked like they were the identical width, they weren't. So there's a little hack right there that worked great. You just take a nail file along the edge to make it flush, and then you can continue on with your project and your craft sticks will fit perfectly flush against the other craft sticks. And when I was all done, I just took my super sharp scissors, which I got at Walmart, and cut around the edge. And then I took the nail file and just filed around the edges to make sure they were nice and smooth and flush with the MDF board. Now you're probably wondering, oh no, Holly, the 3 dark sticks in the middle. I just used up my craft sticks. In fact, I wish I had put more dark ones in the middle. I'm going to cover the center of this sign, so I figured I might as well use up those craft sticks. You're not going to see them, and it just, you know, for the purpose of laying something on top, they did the job. And when I stained it, as you can see, well, you can't see it at all, so that's good news, and you don't have to stress so much about matching your craft sticks perfectly. So I am using watered down antique wax as I'm staining here. It doesn't smell, and so I love to use stuff that doesn't stink, because otherwise I don't like to craft. And I'm stapling that hanger on the back again, and I'm gluing down a little cute fresh soap and water sign that I got from Temu for $2, but you can get any round. You can get a round from the Dollar Tree. You can print something up and put it on a round piece of poster board and then put a border around it with some nautical rope. Use your imagination, have fun, but I think this is a great idea to do with craft sticks. For this next project, you're going to be gluing the craft sticks together to make a hexagon shape, and you're going to do it in a way where you can see how the craft sticks overlap each other, but at some point 2 ends are on top of another craft stick. So you want the 2 ends to be on top, because you're going to be gluing the other craft stick down on top of 2 even ends. If you don't have that even, they'll be lopsided, and obviously you have to keep all these really level and flush again, or it will be all wonky and crooked. So I ended up doing 14 rows of craft sticks, which is approximately 2.5 inches in depth. That's where we end up right here, and I'm showing you in slow motion now what I meant. See how I'm putting the dots on the 2 ends there that are above the craft stick? You have to look for those sections to put your craft sticks on so that they're nice and even, and this is what it looks like when we're all done. Next, I'm using one of those pans that you can find from the Dollar Tree. I think it's meant for like drippings. I don't know what this is called. Maybe it's called a dripping pan. But you need one of these, or you could use a different one if you find another design that you would like, but I just thought this would be fun to work with for the look that I'm going for. And I'm using my scissors to cut, but I usually wear gloves. I didn't do it today, but I want to show you how I'm really careful each time I cut upwards to bend that, you know, it's like a heavy foil away from your hand so that you don't get cut, because that did happen to me once and it's unpleasant, but you're perfectly fine as long as you cut, bend away, cut, bend away. And I did use my wire cutters on the ends, because, you know, the little ridge around the edge of it, because that is a little thicker and more difficult to cut with regular scissors. Of course, I'm going to remove the sticker on the back of this, and now I'm going to take a permanent marker, you can use any marker, and just trace it out, because we're going to be cutting it in the shape of our hexagon. once that's done, you're just going to need to check it for sizing. The goal here is not to have any edges that might cut you sticking out over the wood. You want it to be on the wood, but just cut back enough where you don't ever come into contact with the edge. And you can also cover the edges with some masking tape if you want, or some other kind of tape just to protect yourself a little bit further. But that's what it looks like when we're all done. So I'm going to take these craft sticks, you can see what I'm doing here, and just put them all together. And I'm using more than enough because it has to be the width of the hexagon. And then I secured it with craft sticks at the top on purpose so that it wouldn't splinter at the end there, and it holds them all together. But also, obviously, if you put it up at the edge where you're going to cut, it will prevent it. It's better than masking tape, right? It's going to prevent it from fraying. So that's a great little trick that you can do. If you can do it, you can't always do that. Sometimes you just, like that one time I cut the small triangle for my first DIY, I had to cover it with tape because I couldn't put a stick on it. And of course, I glued down the back of the metal onto the hexagon, and I'm just further reinforcing this because it's going to be the front. So I'm using plenty of hot glue here, and in case you haven't guessed, we are making a wall sconce where we're going to be able to put little plants in, succulents, whatever you want, a hanging vine. Hanging succulents would be cute in this. And then we're going to trim off the edge there using scissors. It was super easy to do. I chose to use a nail file to round the corners and then smooth and level out all the rest of it so that it looked nice and neat. And now I'm just using the watered down antique wax for stain. You can use whatever stain you want, and you'll also see me put some stain on the metal because that's my look. I don't like everything to look squeaky clean. This is a great look for industrial farmhouse or nautical, like a nautical bathroom. It looks so cute with some like long succulents hanging out of it. It would also work out really nice for boho or any kind of island look. This is actually very heavy when you hold it. It's nice and thick. It comes across very high end because it's wood, but considering what it's made out of, I think this came up so nice. So here's the craft sticks, and I chose to use the bottom of a See's chocolate box. That's because they're super sturdy, you guys. For those of you that try See's chocolate, you guys know what I'm talking about. You can use any box you want, and this is also going out to those people who ask me what to do with their extra boxes because we are getting a lot of Amazon boxes. So I'm just measuring and cutting up my sticks, and I'm going to glue them in there just using hot glue, and I'm going to cover this entire box with wood so that we end up with a wooden box. So we're just going to cover up this entire tray here with the stain and let it dry before we move on to the next step. Here's how it comes out, you guys. For this next project, you're going to need a cylinder vase and some craft sticks in any size that you want. I'm using the larger ones that you can find at the Dollar Tree, but now I forgot to mention my first DIY, the wooden tray, those were jumbo craft sticks from Walmart. the really big ones. They actually have a bigger size than that, but those were the ones called jumbo craft sticks. That's all I know. They're just called jumbo craft sticks, but you could use this size too. So I'm showing you this great little tool. They're listed down below in my description box in case you're interested. They're from Amazon. They're meant to cut metal, but they cut craft sticks amazing. And I had to do this because my husband was actually napping and I couldn't turn on my little handy dandy machine. So I was sad, but this works fine too. And if you don't want the pieces to fly all over the place, just put your hands inside a Ziploc large see-through bag and cut your craft sticks in there. So once I cut all the craft sticks down, and I deliberately cut them different lengths, I didn't want them all the same length, I used some string here. This is just some twine from Walmart. I mean, I could have used anything, a shoelace, but you just want to cut it to get a measurement for how many you're going to need to fit around your cylinder vase. And then once I did that, I just kind of strategically placed all my craft sticks in a way where they were going up and down. You know, I was looking for symmetry a little bit, but unevenness. So uneven symmetry, if that makes sense. And I just cut the craft sticks as needed if they were too long or too short. And then I used some masking tape to hold all of these together. It's a great little trick and it's easy to remove. For those of you that watch my channel, you know I use tons of masking tape for all kinds of things. I love to craft with masking tape. And I wrapped it around my vase. That's it. And it actually fit perfect. If you squeeze it really tight, it was a perfect fit. So then I just kind of took my nail file. I don't know why I did this afterwards. I guess I didn't really notice some of the sticks had roughed a little bit, you know, the edges were a little bit rougher looking, so it didn't look, you know, I always try and make my stuff look like it came from a store or a little bit more professional. So I just sanded the top of the sticks to make sure they were nice and smooth. And now I'm using the Sure Bonder glue that does say it sticks to glass, but I wouldn't put a hot candle in this. Honestly, I wouldn't test it that way because it's hot glue and it probably would melt again and they would fall off. But I think for an electric candle, it would be fine. However, I am using this for a vase for pampas grass. You'll see in a minute here. It's beautiful. And I just took the tape off afterwards and that was it. I didn't want to stain them, nothing. I just wanted them to be au naturel. That was the look I was going for and it came up very, very pretty. I grabbed this mirror from the candle section at Dollar Tree. I really like this mirror because it doesn't have a frame and I just think that will look better. It does have these little sticky feet on the back and they're easy enough to remove. You just pull them off. And now I'm putting some masking tape on the back so that the craft sticks have something to adhere to a little bit better than just the mirror. Even the back, even though it's not a mirror, it's kind of like shiny. So I just felt like the tape really helped. You could use duct tape, you could use whatever kind of tape that's sticky, it would work. And I'm starting off by taking the smaller craft sticks and I'm just gluing 5 of them on each one of those bends. Next, I'm going to apply some hot glue on the ends there like that. And I'm just going to put some of the larger craft sticks in crisscross formations just to give this a little bit more strength and a little bit of structure there. And also it's kind of the place where I loop it through with some twine later to hang it, and that works really well. And I also add some duct tape on the back with the twine just so the mirror doesn't fall. But Holly Humble is a bumble because as I'm doing this tutorial, I reach up to pause my camera and I accidentally hit slow motion. So the tutorial here for the next part, when it comes up, it's, you know, I had to kind of take screenshots, almost like a cartoon where I stop it at each part so that you can see what I did. But now I'm going to glue the craft stick in between each one of those. So after the crisscross in the back, to strengthen it, I just take the larger craft stick and I glue it down the center between each one of those little, well, you can see it, those little 5-stick formations. Now I'm just gluing a large craft stick between each one. And here we come to my humble bumble. So see those 4 sticks right there that I glued on top of the 5 sticks? Now remember the mirror's turned upside down, so it's on top of the 5 sticks, and I glued them in between each one of the 5 so that the 5 is a little wider than the 4 on, you know, beneath it. And so we have all of those done like I'm showing with the arrow. And next, in between those, I take a large craft stick, I glue it down, And then I take another large craft stick and glue it on top of that craft stick at an angle. So we're going to make a little V on top of that craft stick. So I put the first craft stick down, then I put a drop of hot glue on top of that craft stick and put my next large craft stick down, and you'll get a nice V formation. I'm going to show you a little bit of the video since this is a tutorial and it's important for you guys to see, but this is what happens when you speed up a slow motion video. You get that weird light strobing, and I thought that would drive you guys nuts. So I'm showing you the V formations I made right there with the larger craft sticks in between the smaller ones, and it came up absolutely stunning. I love this DIY. Great find at the Dollar Tree are these wooden hoops. They don't have any metal hardware on them, so they are great for crafts. And I'm using the larger craft sticks that the Dollar Tree sells. I'm just going to go and glue the craft sticks all the way around. Now, I actually made this DIY for a friend of mine who's having a Hawaiian luau, and she showed me a picture of what she wants. But personally, if I made this DIY for myself, or if you make it, I recommend that you glue the craft sticks on the inside of the large hoop, and that you buy 2 packages of those wooden hoops from the Dollar Tree, and then glue a hoop on the top and a hoop on the bottom, because the Dollar Tree craft sticks are cheaper and they have imperfections and they're crooked, and it just would help if you kind of had that I guess brace on the top and bottom. It would look more like a lampshade, but it would look totally cute. It could go farmhouse boho, and definitely like an island theme, either way. But again, she showed me what she wanted, so I went with that. And we're short in the back here. The big one fit perfectly, but on the tinier hoop, you're going to need to cut a little craft stick to make it fit in that little area there, but it's totally fine. You don't see it. And here's some raffia that I'm absolutely loving right now. It's a package of 3 from Amazon in red, green, and like that neutral tan color. And you can see the roll is huge on the right hand side, and it was like dirt cheap. So I will have that in my description box. It's very strong and flat. I like it because it almost functions more like a really thin ribbon. So here I am gluing them in 4, I'm just measuring and gluing it because I'm making a little hanger here. Again, I'm using a really strong glue. Once I get it nice and balanced, I'm just putting a little dot of hot glue there so that that stays together. And I chose to do this part separate because I wanted to measure the raffia to make sure when I glued it up at the top in the hoop there, it hung out, that I didn't want the lamp. It hangs a little bit on the inside of the bigger part of the other shade, if that makes sense. So I just felt more comfortable doing it that way. And to secure it, I'm gluing the raffia around on the inner part of the wooden hoop. And that way it's totally strong and it holds. And I made 5 of these, like I said. So this ended up being so cute, and it was perfect for what she needed. This one is a fun craft for the whole family. You just use 2 of the jumbo craft sticks from Walmart. You get those at Walmart. And I'm cutting out like a little curve so that I cut a little front of a sleigh. We're going to make a little tiny sleigh, and this is great for a mantle, a little floating shelf, a Christmas tree ornament if you make them smaller, but it's just a super fun craft to do when the holidays come, and it's super easy. So I just cut my little I guess they're little blades for the sleigh, and I'm sanding that, where I cut, making it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to use 5 of the large Dollar Tree craft sticks, and I'm going to go ahead and cut those at a little bit of an angle just so they don't look so much like craft sticks. I cut them at a little bit of an angle at the top of the sleigh. I also give those a quick sand just to make them nice and rounded. And now I'm going to cut the little tinier craft sticks down just to use those to hold this together. That's what's going to hold our sleigh together. I'm just gluing one on the top and one on the bottom. Then you just use a little bit of hot glue to glue your blades down. You can add extra inside the center like I'm doing right there to reinforce it so that they don't go anywhere. But again, if you get the hot wood glue, it's really strong. For this craft, I don't think you need hot wood glue. You could just use regular old hot glue. I think that will hold it just fine if you're not going to be rough with it. Lastly, I cut one of the, I guess they call it large at the Dollar Tree, but compared to the jumbo, they look small. But I end up using that at the top for the little decorative part of the sleigh, and I also decide to cut those at an angle after the fact, so make sure you do that before. And I'm going to go ahead and give the blades a quick coat of red acrylic paint by Apple Barrel. Any red paint would work, and then some white chalk paint on the top. That's my homemade chalk paint. If you want to know that recipe, it will be down below in my description box. And I use a little bit of the nutmeg by Apple Barrel here just to do a light distressing. Again, super fast and easy and fun for the whole family. So for those of you that follow my channel, you might remember this one from my winter crafts. I just knew that I did a couple of really good craft stick DIYs in previous videos, and I wanted to include them because they're worth sharing, and this is, a craft stick video. So this is I actually started off, I wanted to make a rustic Christmas tree. So I'm doing the same thing that I kind of did with the angel in this one. I'm using it, where I glue the craft sticks upwards with those little layers. But we're going to go ahead instead and kind of make it like a house at the top. You'll see. So I made another V formation with my craft sticks, and I'm just gluing it on the top of this little formation. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take the craft sticks and just kind of randomly crisscross them on the back. Now, the cool thing with this craft is I easily could have turned this into a windmill, because windmills often have those little house tops. This can be turned into a barn. Oh my gosh, they could have even been turned into super tall rustic bird houses if you wanted. This was a winter craft, so I went with a winter theme, but this is a very versatile craft. You can absolutely change it up to whatever season you want it to fit. You can even make it for all year round. And as you can see, I chose to make them in different shapes, like different widths and different heights. And I just go ahead and slap some white paint on again. You can take the white paint, after you're done painting them, you can go ahead and use a wax and stain these to look like wood. You can paint them red and change the wood on the inside to make them a barn. Just go with it and have fun. I go ahead and use a little bit of pine and decorate this whole thing for winter. I do end up taking the houses and gluing 2 on the back of some scrap wood and then 1 on the front, and I shove some pine down in the center like this. But that could be straw for fall, spring flowers with bird houses for spring, but it's beautiful and it's a great craft stick DIY. This is another great blast from the past and a great easy craft stick DIY. We're just going to make a little crate, and the crate of course is extremely versatile. You again can make it for any season. I did this one for Easter and I put a imagery on the front of it, but all it was taking craft sticks and some towering blocks and gluing them all together to make this little crate. Again, you don't need the towering blocks. I would just go ahead and cut down craft sticks, glue 3 or 4 of them together so it gives you more surface area to work with, and use that in place of the towering blocks. So I use a glue stick, I glue my image down, but I'm just showing you how I put together the crate here. It ends up being 3 of the craft sticks, the long way, and you can make this any length you want. I think I made this extra tiny because it was for a tiered tray, but you can just cut it off right where the circle is so that doesn't show, and then go from there with your measurements. And then I use the jumbo craft sticks, which fit really nicely for the bottom, but again, you can just use as many craft sticks as you need to give it a bottom. And that's it. These little crates always come up so cute. Another great craft stick DIY, you just take 4 of the craft sticks and you're going to use one to hold them all together on the bottom. And then I cut the top into a little house shape. Now just nibble away at your scissors, don't cut long and hard because you might crack them. You still might crack them this way, but they won't be severe enough to ruin your craft. And of course I'm just cleaning up the edges and the bottom, and then I'm going to give it a nice little light sand and add another brace at the top to reinforce everything and hold it together. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue and add the jumbo craft sticks that I cut to fit on either side of this. And if you haven't guessed, we're making like a little house. Again, this could be a barn, this could be a birdhouse. It's like a little window box, and it's a totally fun and easy craft to do with craft sticks. You just need some good quality hot glue. I do recommend hot glue for these kinds of craft stick DIYs because there's a lot of intricate little pieces that need an instant hold. And of course, you reinforce everything on the back. So I made this for an Easter craft. I have a little bunny in it. I put a little bit of moss. I give it a coat of white paint. But again, it could be a nativity scene at Christmas. It could be a fall scene, a nautical scene, a honeybee scene, lemon scene, whatever you want. Just sky's the limit. Use your imagination and have fun. For this project, we're going to be using this Dollar Tree sign, and these signs I found over where the vases were. They were just laying on the bottom. The vases and frames were there, and they're wider than the narrow. Well, I usually get the rectangle ones that already have like a shiplap line, like it's scored already in the board. But these were wider, and I thought they would come in really handy for other DIYs when you want a little bit more width, so keep your eye out for that. And I'm just covering it with some apple barrel black paint. Any black paint will work. Once it dries, of course, we're going to grab our craft sticks, and we're going to start strategically placing them down in the formation of a triangle, kind of at that angle, because we're going to be making I don't know if it's a Christmas tree, because I was actually thinking this would be great winter decor. I'm going to use it probably when Christmas comes, but well, you'll see in a minute here. But I started off just deciding where I wanted my craft sticks, and then you'll see how I put them down. And the reason I'm going to show this to you in fast motion is because believe it or not, this seems so simple. I started this craft thinking, okay, I'm just going to glue these up, all the way up, and just keep kind of graduating them inwards so that they work out, to come to a point at the top to make a tree. And in the end, if you don't want them to look like craft sticks, if you want them to look more high end and kind of have layers and dimension and texture, you can't just lay them down like that, if that makes sense. You kind of have to work in sections and keep making like little areas. I had to keep filling in little areas. I even had to tuck craft sticks underneath other craft sticks to fill in the holes, again, to add another layer. I didn't want them to be completely even, and I didn't want them to be completely uneven, because otherwise, if you do that, then you'll end up with a lot of holes, and then also it will sink in one area and not be level, if that makes sense. So you do have to take your time. So this is how I did the top here. I made sure I had my triangle first, and then once I had my triangle, I was pulling glue off my finger. I think I burned my finger a little bit there. But once I had my triangle in place like that, I glued that on the top to make sure that it blended in, but also went over the edge a little bit. You can see my left hand's holding it like that. I wanted to make sure it looked like that. So I recommend you do it the way I did it and work from the bottom up to the top. Next, I'm going to put this craft stick just in the middle, and then I'm just going to play some music and let you watch. If you want to fast forward through this part because you're not interested in making the tree one day, you can. If not, you can go ahead and watch what I was talking about when I said I had to kind of be strategic with the craft sticks and tuck them in under places. But this ends up coming up really, really nice, and you'll see when it's all done. So this is what we end up with, and I started painting it, and then I realized, oh Holly, that's insane. You're going to get white paint all over the black paint, and it's going to ruin the look. This is actually an inspired craft from Walmart. I was at Walmart during Christmas time, and I saw a white Christmas tree. They actually had a whole section of black and white Christmas decor, which I thought was fantastic for winter decor. Not so much Christmas. I like color at Christmas, but for winter I thought that's brilliant. So it was inspired by that. I thought it would be fun to do with some wooden craft sticks. I kind of wish though that I had whitewashed this instead of painting it solid white so that you could see the wood grain through it, but I still love it. But I just want to put that out there in case you guys want to do it that way where you whitewash it. But I'm just giving it a coat of white chalk paint. I'm using Folklore. And then I had to use a little tiny brush at the bottom, obviously, so I don't get it all over the black. And then I did take and I had there's a set of wood cutouts from Walmart they were $1 when I bought them. I don't know what they are now, but there's hearts in there and stars. I ended up taking the wooden star and putting it on the top because I'm going to use this at Christmas time. Don't know if I regret that or not because I was thinking it would be nice for a winter decor piece again. But anyway, this is how it turns out. Let me know what you think. For this next project, you're going to be using some paper towel rolls. You could also use toilet rolls, just any kind of roll that you want. I'm going to cut them to the height of the craft stick, but you can cut them to whatever height you want. If you're using extra large or extra long craft sticks, you can cut them to that height. And I'm going to cut a total of 4 of these. Next, I'm going to measure to make sure they all fit the craft stick height that I pre-cut. And then I'm going to go about, you know the drill, we're going to go about cutting the craft sticks. Next, we're going to apply the hot glue vertically all the way up that roll and start applying all of our craft sticks until all of it is covered. And of course, I'm going to be covering all 4 rolls. So if you look, you can see there's a little bit of an opening there where the craft sticks didn't completely cover these rolls, and it happened on all 4 of them, and it's absolutely no big deal. Do not stress about it, my friend. You are not going to see that. You deliberately are going to turn them inwards and face each other. See how I'm putting those openings towards the center and gluing them so that it hides it? That's all you have to do, so don't be concerned if your craft sticks don't fit perfectly because you're not going to see it, and you're going to glue all 4 of them together just like you see me doing here. Remember those wooden stakes that I used for the first tray? The first DIY? I thought it would be super cute to use the top of it, waste not, want not, so I went ahead and glued that down in the center, and if you can guess, we're making a pumpkin, but I do end up switching the top. Waste not, want not. Oh well, I wanted it to look, it just didn't, it was too straight. So I felt like it looked like a rocket more, but I went ahead, I just want to show you what I did because you're going to see me tear it off here at the end. But I went ahead and I painted it. I painted the pumpkin. We're making a little wooden pumpkin here. I went ahead and painted that a light orange. It was apple barrel paint. Any orange will work, whatever you like. You can do a soft green, cream. Pumpkins now, they do them in all different colors. It looks so pretty. And then to cover the top, we're just taking some Spanish moss and we're tucking it all in the little holes. So you just use little holes like they're vases and tuck it down inside so that you can't see the holes anymore. That's what covers the top of your pumpkin. And then I also took a leaf from a flower that I save all my leaves when I'm done trimming off flowers. I save everything. So I just use a leaf from one of the Dollar Tree flowers And you can see I'm tearing it all apart now because I changed my mind, but I did end up going with this little wood stick that I had ordered a bunch of them from Amazon because I think they make better pumpkin stems in my opinion. And then of course I'm going to use the leaf again and glue it back on there. And I had a flower that looked like it was in a beautiful autumn warm orange. I did end up tucking a little bit more Spanish moss at the top, but look at that. Considering what it's made out of, I think it came up so beautiful. For this craft stick DIY, you're going to need a soft, round, cylinder-shaped container. Oatmeal containers are perfect for this. You do need a container you can cut, though, for this DIY. And I ended up using some folded paper. It made a nice, thicker template so that I could trace an even circle all the way around. See how I'm just kind of spinning my oatmeal container and tracing? That kept the line nice and even, so it met on the other end. And then I cut my oatmeal container in half. Next, I took a bunch of craft sticks and taped them really tightly together and cut them so that I didn't have to cut one at a time. And it actually prevented all of them from splintering. That was a great hack. And then I took a little bit of sandpaper, gave it a light sand while they were still taped together, and I go ahead and start gluing these all over the oatmeal container. They also sell little round cylinder-shaped like gift boxes near the gift section in the Dollar Tree. You could also use one of those. Now I made 2 of them and I ended up changing my mind, but this is the part of the DIY that you need to watch. I use sisal rope, you can use nautical rope, you can use twine, you can use whatever you want. I go ahead and glue it around and then I cut it in half, and that way you get a nice even result so that your rope matches, I guess, on either side. So I just took that, glued it down on some scrap wood, added some more little rope for a handle. If you wanted to make this completely out of craft sticks, you could use the jumbo craft sticks from Walmart for the back scrap wood that I'm using. Just glue them all together using a brace behind them, but this makes a totally cute craft stick DIY. These craft stick DIYs were so much fun to make. If you enjoyed the video today and had fun, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. And as always, until the next one, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.